council comments? Tim, you want to start?
Comments or suggestions?
Suggestions? It's our time to try to work this out.
Yeah, I do want to have the staff look toward reduction in sheriff's costs. Unfortunately, that's the biggest chunk of change that we have. So there, you have to look at that. And fire, it's tough because this is our fire season, so I don't know of any good answers. To me, that's going to be the main thing, is going to be the sheriff's. So it's going to have to come most likely from there at this point. I don't know of any other things yet. I mean, there's some other suggestions out there, so we'll have to kind of look at everything on the table.
Bob?
Okay, let me throw some wild ideas out here. Hey, do we need so many city council meetings? And maybe once a month? And here I'm thinking not about our own savings, but what about legal savings? Will we have some legal savings that could add up if we just go to once a month? And how about the administrative thing? We still have to have a staff do all our work, but do we need to look at it twice a month? So there's a wild idea. Okay. Do you want me to just go down a batch of ideas, or does everybody want to speak in here?
No, go ahead.
So, what about code enforcement? I know it's a sacred cow in a way, but we've got priority items. We've got 1, 2, and 3 categories. If we just figure out what it is our number one thing that we want to address, we can spend less money on it because that's what we'll address until we get some money back. So we'd be cutting the amount of time spent on code enforcement, but we'd still be hitting what's really public health and safety issues. So there's another thought. What about the community services? I know we haven't really solved our parks issue, so maybe we've got to look at whether we can contract something differently on those services. So we're not going to get the same service anyway because we don't have the same parks to go to, but maybe we can save enough money that way to add to our sort of stack or pile that we're going to. And coming, of course, back to the favorite, to the largest budget item we have, which is the sheriff, our police. I don't know what the minimum is that's effective for the area, but it's the sheriff, I'm sure, knows, and he's implied as much. So we really can't go there because of our contract, but we really probably need to get together some way to talk to the sheriff about the fact that we're just not going to have the money to pay. So it's not that we don't want to pay for them, it's just that the money won't be there, so you can't take what you don't have. And so maybe we need to ask the sheriff to look at that renegotiation as had been talked about by Tim. And coming back to those parks again, I know that's a minor sort of thing, but just piling up the stuff that you can do. It sounds like we have some private place that's looking into reducing the cost of running the parks and getting some grants and stuff. But I just would like to mention one of my earlier suggestions, which is, since we don't have the money to really put all those ball fields in and keep them green, is that we keep a few that the teams can support, and that the rest we go to landscaping that doesn't require the water. And then sometime when the water falls out of the sky or comes from the water district systems or something, we could add that back in. But trying to half keep dead grass alive, I don't see that. But we do need some grass, so there's a thought. We can cut it down so we had less to spend at the parks. And I will mention my well again too. I don't know what the cost trade-off is of putting a well in versus getting it from the water district, or what the legal ramifications are. But I think we ought to look at that to see if even those green areas that I'm suggesting we do keep, if maybe our own well or a well of some neighbor adjacent to the park that's willing to sell us the water could provide the water for the park without bankrupting us in terms of being able to provide something for the park.
Let me interject in one thing in there. The well, we're looking at the well.
Yeah.
We have a contractor that's actually checking it out for us that I knew.
Excellent.
That we're trying to get a cheapie done. So that was a big deal that we're working on. So I don't know how far they've gotten.
Yeah, Councilman Cashman, I was going to jump in there, but since Tim jumped in there, we actually did meet with a contractor. And Paula, give me the number one more time.
70.
We got an estimate of $70,000 to do the well on Martin O'Brien. So we do have an actual number there.
So of course, the cost of the pump and all that, so everything, you end up with the cost of what it truly costs you.
Yeah, I think we had a payback period of 2 years, assuming the same watering schedule that we've kept on Martin O'Brien since it's been reopened.
Well, of course, there'll be less places to water too, so someone would have to.
Yeah, but
figure-
still the payback.
So, yeah,
is
they
still-
already have my idea, and implementation has their own idea, so that's good.
Too much money, $70,000 for well. I asked somebody for, you want 300?
You need to do public
I
comment.
see, okay.
So coming back again to how our staff could save money, and this is an idea which I know didn't get any favorable comments last time I brought it up, but it's what we do at work, is that, okay, I have no idea why they go ahead and cut the budgets at work, because I'm looking at us, we're making lots of money. But the top managers, they send these directives down, okay, we're gonna work on 10% less money and fewer people, and things are gonna get done. So how are we gonna do it? And the way they do it is they say to each department, hey, cut your 10% and show us how it works. So again, so here I'm unfortunately turning to our departments and saying, hey, well, in our case, I don't know that we need to cut it 22%, but a thought would be you could come back to us with the percent that still allows us to be absolutely functional, but which is not quite funded as it is today, and as it should be, because we really need these people, just like we do at work. We suffer because there's not enough of us doing stuff, but it happens, and I think we're in more of a it's happened, let's do it, and how long should this go on? Okay, that's another thought of mine. What if 2 weeks from now the funding's restored? What do? I just will not trust that funding to be actually restored until I hold it in my hand and say, I have it. So I think we would still need to keep on our cut budget, so things aren't going to be pretty. And what about our own council? And I let other people talk about how they might want to cut the council. Our trips to conferences, which ones should we cut? Our supplemental insurance, what can we cut, what can't we cut? Somebody needs to comment on that without costing us money and so forth. So that's my barrage of thoughts.